104.1 KRBE. It's the Rule and Ryan Show. It is probably one of the most horrible things. People gathering together to celebrate life, to enjoy life, to celebrate.
Well, that's not horrible.
And lose your life in the process. And this is unfortunately the case. It's coming up on a year since the Travis Scott Astroworld tragedy where ultimately
50,000 people in a giant crowd crush.
Ultimately, 10 people lost their lives.
It's true. Right. And you cannot forget it if you were, a year ago, if you were living in Houston, because I know we have new people here all the time, where if you drive around NRG, there is a memorial that is on the chain link fence of the parameters of where this happened. And as we come up on the 1 year, I'm sure when we get to that date next month, we'll have a lot of press on that.
That's when the reporters will
the
go
Houston
out.
media about where are we now, where are the families now, how are they doing, where are the lawsuits, how do those stand, because there's a lot of them against Travis Scott, against Drake, against
the city,
NRG,
but we
against
just don't
the city,
want this to
against all these
ever happen again at any concert.
Right. And it's been going on forever. So let me introduce Peter Remington to you guys here on the show. We know him very well behind the scenes. Peter Remington was one of our general managers here at KRBE. And then after that, I know, Peter, you are very involved in charities. Then you got with Kids Meals.
Yes.
We're talking Kids Meals here. You are very involved in Houston charities. And now you're here for the Pink Bows Foundation. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Oh, it's great to be back. And first of all, congratulations on being in the Texas Broadcasting
Texas Hall of Fame, baby.
Hall of
Thank
Fame,
you so
baby.
much.
That's right.
I know, that's so exciting.
Fame.
And that's also next month. I'm going to get that done. So that's very exciting. Thank you, Peter. And you've been there for the ride. You've been there for the ride.
Yes.
So I know how much different charities mean to you. You really put your all in. You could be somebody who, okay, I'll give some money and I'll think about them, but you really dive in first. So tell us, what is your connection to Pink Bows Foundation? What's it all about? And just give us the whole deal.
Okay.
Give us the whole deal,
How much
Peter.
time do I have?
You have 2 minutes now.
All right, cancel out the music.
Pink Bows Foundation was born from this tragedy. It did not exist before this.
The Travis Scott Astroworld tragedy was amazing. And in the sense that there was, safety protocols just weren't being done correctly. And I'm not saying anything out of school because, frankly, you could see the kids running through the scan barriers and so forth. Which, if that happened at an airport, guns would be drawn, things would be shut down.
You're taken down and escorted off the premises.
Exactly,
right.
exactly. So, but anyway, Madison Dubisky lost her life that night. Excuse me. And her father and I are dear friends. We vacation together. We've done business together and so forth. We've been palling around for about 12 years now. And I was on my way down to Galveston, and on Saturday morning, I got a phone call, and it was Brian.
It's okay. It's okay.
So anyway, he was. I didn't even recognize his voice. That's how bad it was.
So he already had been informed.
Yeah, and saw his daughter and all that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. So anyway, the outpouring of love for Madison was crazy. So the people came up with Pink Bows for Madison, in which they started putting pink bows all around the area. I think you saw those. They're all over Westheimer. They lit up the buildings. The Memorial City Mall was lit up in pink. Minute Maid Park was lit up in pink. So the city really reached out. And that was done by friends of Brian's and Michelle Dubisky, the mother, as well. This friend of theirs made that happen. And so we realized that, Madison's a wonderful girl. I mean, she went to Cy-Fair High School. She graduated in 2016. She was a cheerleader there. She was involved. She donated like 500 hours of charity work for children's charities. That was her big thing. So the Pink Bows for Madison was formed that way. But we realized it was not just Madison. It was 9 other kids, 9 other people. So that's where it became the foundation. And the foundation is all about heightening awareness of security protocol at venues, not just Minute Maid Park or Toyota or NRG or outdoor, all venues, whether it be a concert or whatever it may be. I mean, I was watching the A&M Arkansas game when A&M won that game. The kids running out onto the field was crazy.
You get trampled from that.
Getting trampled from that and tripping up and so forth.
Soccer match. I think this weekend,
123 people lost their lives.
Yeah, well, that was caused by the police, though. I mean, they're firing tear gas into the stands.
It's
running.
It's a different country.
But right here, where where we live, are you seeing any changes right now? I mean, since this terrible tragedy, has there been any change whatsoever?
Ryan, you know what's happened so far is Adele stopped one of her concerts because one of her fans was having a little heart problem. She could see that from the stage. So she stopped singing and said, let's get some help for this person here. Shaq even stopped a show that he was doing because things were getting a little unruly, I believe. And so
you're definitely heightening the awareness for the performers to look out for their fans.
The performers that care.
Right.
Okay, there's a, either way. But, so the foundation is here. We're going to actually set up, and one of the things we're doing is setting up pink bow safety tents. Now, I know we all have medical facilities in and around concerts, but what we don't have is a place where you're not injured, but you're stressed, anxiety, overwhelmed, all those things.
Too much
we can
crowd.
come to the tent, get a bottle of water, relax, get out of the crowd, and then get back into the mix again. So the safety tent is going to be critical too.
We're talking to Peter Remington here on the Rule and Ryan Show and 104.1 KRBE for the Pink Bows Foundation. It's pinkbowsfoundation.org. He is a very close family friend of Madison, Alexis Dubisky, and she lost her life at the age of 23. She was one of the 10 that lost their lives that night. And if you go by the site, you see big pictures of them, and the memorial is still there with the balloons and the flowers. It's basically like a cemetery site. It is a grave site for them in that spot. Yeah. I'm glad that it has still stayed up, and I hope it does stay up. But do you know if there's plans for something?
They should build something more
permanent.
Well, thank you for
there?
bringing that up. I don't know. One of the things we're going to do is reach out to the county, because that's county property, and can we get a plaque put there permanently and saying this is the site here of the?
Or do they want to try and brush under the rug? Like, we don't want to mention this. We don't want people to know.
You can't.
That's what I'm saying.
You have to.
You don't know how politicians think or cities think.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we're trying to do, or are going to do, which is to keep the memory alive.
Yep.
For example, like you said, it's a month from now on 11/5 is when this tragedy happened. And we're going to ask everybody to wear pink on that day. Or put pink bows around their trees in their front yard. Put pink ribbons wherever you can find them. I have a pink Christmas tree outside my house. So that's what I do. And then
and like you said, it's not just Pink Bows for Madison. That's why you changed it to Pink Bows Foundation. It's for all 10 of the victims.
All 10.
Who really represent people around the world who've been trampled at events, and nobody talks about it anymore.
And you know what the other thing is, too, and this is another point, it's the surviving victims.
Yeah.
Don't forget them.
There's a lot of PTSD.
Exactly. I mean, there were kids that were knocked down and also trampled, but were able to get back up. And that's, a scary situation.
But I hate to see is that, it's nice that Adele did that. And, you mentioned Shaq, but it's not necessarily the performer. You're on stage. You've got lights in your face. You can't be the police for everything that is happening. When an artist comes to town, it's a corporation. It's a company.
Right.
And there should be protocols in place. There should be
for
security staff.
And not
there should be
packing up
medical staff.
Space.
Be properly equipped. And it clearly wasn't at Astroworld.
But have they sensed then? That's what I'd like to know.
That's what I want to know is anything being
these companies,
done.
do you know if these companies are being held accountable? Like, are they
actually
doing
trust me, there's a lot.
I know there's lawsuits involved.
We know the lawsuits, but
we're talking about doing something like someone to have a third person, a third party outside of the promoter or the actual concert person, whoever it may be, to have the ability to shut the show down.
Yeah,
to police it.
Right, to police it. So somebody whose main job is to see what's going on with the crowd and be able to flip the switch and turn on the lights and just shut it down. And
Peter, I think from all the things that we've seen from Astroworld to all these world events, if you watch Netflix, what was that thing about the 99 Woodstock? How they didn't have trampling deaths all over that event. If you watch Netflix's
what was it called?
Well,
99 Woodstock.
It was Woodstock 99. Well, the difference is that it wasn't such a confined space that we had at
But
Astroworld.
it was still
it was an air base.
And
it was huge.
But they had a riot
still, you
fires.
could get trampled. It doesn't matter how much space is around it. If everyone's packed in that one tight spot, listen, anywhere you go where it's general admission and you are shoulder to shoulder to people, it just takes one wrong flaw for everybody to start toppling on top of each other like dominoes.
Here's something you can do.
And people are getting hurt.
Captain Firefighter Ross always told, whenever you go to an event or anywhere, always look for the exits. Because don't think about the exit you just came from, because that's where everyone's going to go.
Yeah, find another exit out.
Find another exit, because the fire, remember that band Great White?
Yeah, up in New York years ago.
Rhode Island.
Like 2002.
It was almost like 20 years ago, where a bunch of people, unfortunately, they lost their lives in a fire.
A lot of people just walked out the back exit because there's nobody there. Everyone ran to the front.
To the doors they came in from.
You gotta know your surroundings.
So just know your surroundings. And honestly, Peter, I was not at Astroworld. Of course, we felt it as Houstonians, but ever since the Great White concert or Astroworld is another example, it makes me have anxiety about overcrowded areas. I'm like, you know what? It's not my favorite thing to be in the pit. I don't want to be in the pit. I'm stressed out about the pit. But when you're 23 years old and that's your favorite artist, that's where you want to be.
Absolutely.
You want to be in the pit.
Absolutely.
Right there, raging out with everybody else, dancing. And then this happens and it just destroys so many people's lives.
It does. But, and the sad thing is, too, is that people forget about it. and they
Yeah.
go back into it. They'll
Yeah.
they forget about the Travis Scott Astroworld tragedy, and they'll do the same thing in California. They'll do the same thing in Maine, wherever it may be. They'll do the same thing all over again. Keeps on repeating itself. Definition of insanity, right? Just
Same
we
thing
keep
over
on-
and over again, and
over
expecting
again.
different result.
And
Yeah.
we're not getting the safety protocols from the promoters, from the venues, from the artists, and so forth to make things better.
So it is
they're-
not changing. We're not making the
Not
changes
yet,
that we
not
need to
yet,
make.
But that's what Pink Bows Foundation is going to do. We were going to sit there and figure out ways to have better barricades, like in the front, where sometimes they're almost like a wall. You can't get through.
These kids are
They get
just
crushed
pushed.
They get
against
crushed
it.
against that because those barricades don't move. There's got to be a breakable barricade so you can get out of the way. And like you said, have exits, more exits.
More exits.
and
Or
things like
more
that.
ways to get out. Because if you look at an aerial shot of any of those general admission concerts, but especially like Astroworld, there wasn't like a. Sometimes I've seen like at Toyota Center, let's say, because it's indoors, they'll have a barricade aisle where the person can come down and talk to the crowd in the middle of the floor. And then, I mean, you could make like highways kind of in between it. I know it doesn't look as sexy for the artist to show,
Right.
look at all these people. But if you can put lanes of exit or some kind of spacing, when somebody does get overwhelmed, there's somewhere to go. You're not fighting 200 people on each side of you to just get out to somewhere where you can
Is
breathe.
it also a question of not having enough law enforcement on site?
Well, there's all that. And, I'm not an expert at this, but I'm going to become one, as we keep growing Pink Bows Foundation. So I'm not an expert at that. So I really, that's a tough one to answer. I know that every venue, just through my knowledge working in the radio industry as long as I did, there's certain protocol that you have to have one security person per X amount of attendees, right?
Yeah.
So you have those, and X amount of bathrooms, X amount of this, and so forth. But let me get back to you on that.
It's Peter Remington, pinkbowsfoundation.org. It started with Pink Bows for Madison Alexis Dubisky, who lost her life that night at Travis Scott's concert Astroworld. And now it's Pink Bows Foundation for all the victims. And hopefully this is the change that in the future will save another family from crying for their child every day because they were trampled at a concert where they just wanted to go and have fun.
I mean, every parent should expect that their child can go to a concert and come home that night.
And survive it.
Right?
Have a wonderful
Correct.
memory.
Have a wonderful time. We've all done that, right?
Yes.
Every parent should expect that, and that's what we have to work towards.
Peter, thank you so much for what you're
Well,
doing
thanks
for
for your
this
time.
family, all the families, and all the charities you're involved with. You're awesome.
Well, thank you. And remember, wear pink, 11-5.
That's right.
Okay.
11-5.
Love that.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
girls.
your pink bows. Thank you, Peter. God bless you guys. Coming up next, we have a chance for you to see some soccer. Why not? The Dynamo are playing. We've got Ed Sheeran tickets. We've got the 25K payday.
So
There's
much
a
going
lot
on.
going on
Lot
KRBE.
happening.
And in case you need to get caught up, we're going to tell you all about it next on The Real and Ryan Show.